Hey, what is going on, guys? As you probably know, if you've played YapMaps OGBR for more than a game or two, it's fairly frequent that you're going to run into some pretty significant bugs, like not having a glider or not getting any loot out of chests. As you play, you're just going to have to learn to deal with these issues. While yes, the developers are actively working on fixes, right now these bugs are going to happen. So in today's video, we're going to cover the 5 biggest bugs I've been running into and that you guys have said you've also been running into, and how you can still salvage your game. Now, not every bug can you salvage your game, but some of them you can. So hopefully this video will help you in those situations. The 5 bugs we're going to cover today are: your enemies are invincible, you didn't get a glider out of the battle bus, you're stuck in the battle bus until the end of the route, you didn't get any loot out of chests, and you're ejected into outer space. Now, the first one, which is probably honestly the most common bug, or the most game-breaking at least, your enemy is invincible. Sadly, I haven't been able to find any way that you can realistically get around this. Unfortunately, you can't damage your enemies with your gun. You can't make them take fall damage. There's really not a lot you can do. Unfortunately, you just have to either back out, or if you want to try and stick it out, just keep falling back, try and hide from that person as long as possible, and hope that for some reason they have to leave the game. You know, they disconnect because their internet broke, something like that. But realistically, there's not a ton you can do in that situation. The next bug, not having a glider, you can definitely salvage this situation. First off, you're actually very likely to survive that fall. You tend to not take fall damage, so don't just give up on that game. You still can play and still can win. The second thing is you're actually going to fall down faster than you normally would. So in certain situations, if you're in the right position, you might actually really get to a chest first and actually have an advantage over your enemies. Now, something to note though is that if you end up landing in the middle of nowhere, as you're falling down, be sure to look around where the other people are that have gliders, as you're going to be running into a location with no weapons. So if they've already looted up and spot you, you're basically done. So keep that in mind. The next bug is you're stuck on the battle bus until the end of the bus route. This is actually not that bad of a bug, because usually you'll be kicked out of the battle bus at the end of the route anyway, and you can go down and play the game as normal. However, keep in mind that the hotly contested positions are going to be where everyone's forced out. So if the bus goes from, say, west to east, Tilted is not going to be very contested, but Retail will be highly contested because everybody is thrown out on the eastern side of the map. So if you want a contested drop, dive straight down to the nearest locations. If you want a non-contested drop, cross over back to the other side of the map. Now, something really important to keep in mind is sometimes the bugs will stack to where you won't get a glider and you'll be stuck on the bus until the end. In this situation, you need to make sure you're already facing towards the island, and as soon as you get kicked out, immediately start moving towards the island. Because when you get kicked out, you're very likely over the ocean, and if you fall in the ocean, it's game over. You're going to be immediately eliminated. So try your best to be moving towards the island as soon as possible, and hopefully you started early enough to where you're going to land on solid ground and you can get back and continue the game. The next bug is when you get no loot out of chests. If you have this bug even once in your game, do not try and open any more chests. You're just wasting your time. You're not going to get loot. In this situation, there's 3 ways you can get loot. 1, ammo boxes will still work. 2, supply drops will still work. And 3, you can salvage loot off the ground of other people's engagements. So if you were lucky enough to get usable guns out of the chest, I'd say immediately try and attack as soon as possible, because you're not going to be able to get any better stuff while your opponents are going to continue to get better and better stuff. So attacking them now is going to make the odds as good as it can be. If you wait 5 minutes and attack them later, realistically, you're effectively screwed. But in some situations, you just have unusable weapons, or your enemy has found too much stuff, like you have a bolt action sniper. You know, that's a pretty tough situation. You're not realistically going to win that. In that situation, what I'd say you do is you fall back and try and salvage loot off of the ground. As in, you're looking for 2 players to engage each other, 1 to be eliminated, and then you can pick up the leftover loot. But you can't rely on leftover loot alone, because you won't have any extra ammo in that situation. So you're going to have to seek out ammo boxes and supply drops as well. So you have to play it a bit safer, but you can still salvage your game and you still have a chance of winning. And the final bug is when you are ejected into outer space. Sadly, I don't see any way you can go back to Earth at that point. That's it. Enjoy the view. It's actually really cool to go all the way out there, but your game's effectively over at that point. So I hope this video was helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one.